Hello guys and welcome to GA Flying. Today we are in rainy Uganda in South Africa, and today I will want to show you the highlights from my flight through Africa during my world tour, and also we will fly a part of it live, the one that I have promised, over the Victoria Lake up until the Kilimanjaro. We will cut some of it because it's a pretty long route, but I will just show you the most important stuff, and we will do the takeoff and the landing. And as before, I will also show you like the highlights in a shortened cinematic mode from all of the interesting parts that I have seen. Let me just show you more or less the path that I have taken. So we have crossed the Gibraltar Strait in the prior video that you can also find on my channel. Then along the coast here. Then I really wanted to see the Atlas Mountains, which we did. Okay. And then we pretty much crossed over the Sahara, which is here, over all of those like caravan hubs, up until the tribal like desert cities. And this is pretty much where the first part of the highlights will stop. Okay, the second part of the highlights will be here, so further south, up until the Chad Lake, which is pretty fascinating. It's in the middle of the desert. Then further down, up until the jungles of Congo, and here we have Uganda, and we have all of those big lakes that are forming like the origin of the Nile that we'll be following later. But for today we will do Lake Victoria, and we will do the highest mountain in Africa, so the Kilimanjaro. Okay, so during the highlights that I will like launch in a minute and 2 minutes, I have also used a new program which is called Bushtalk Radio. It's not totally new. I have used it some years ago, but it was a little bit laggy for me back then. That's saying I didn't have like a very strong CPU. So now it works without any problems, and it's just amazing. And there is also like reason why I thought I should use it during this flight. Let me just show you. This is the map that I have linked in the first part of my world tour. And this is a map of all of the custom assets in MSFS. And as you can see, in Europe there's lots of custom stuff, but in Africa, nothing. Okay, so not one custom building, nothing. The only exception being pretty much Entebbe in Uganda, where we are today, where we are starting from. And I do have like a custom improvement scenery for it that improves on the standard custom airport. And we will be flying over the Victoria Lake up until Kenya, seeing the Kilimanjaro somewhere here, I guess, and then we will be landing in Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya. And I also have a custom scenery there. There's some funny stuff. Okay, so I guess I will now show you the first part of the highlights.
Is the fourth largest city in the Kingdom of Morocco. It is the capital of the mid-southwestern region of Marrakesh-Safi.
البينات والزبر وأنزلنا إليك الذكر لتبين للناس ما نزل إليهم ولعلهم يتفكرون.
Okay, and welcome back. I hope you have enjoyed it. And now we will be starting. I will also talk about some additional stuff, and then I will show you the second part of the highlights when we were going over like the southern part of Africa. But just to comment on the stuff that you have seen during the first part, you have seen that Bushtalk Radio is able to tune in into local radio stations, which is like amazing. But this is something that is optional, right? And it's the same for narrating, for providing all of this interesting information about the places that you are visiting. This is also optional. If you don't want it to start auto-playing, then it doesn't have to. Okay, so you can fully control it. And with this, I think we can start. Okay. And let's go then. I will want the radar, because here in South Africa it's pretty stormy during the afternoon. And let me just get this one. And in a minute we will be at the runway. Here you can see the map. And we will be continuing. So, just to tell a little bit more about what you have seen about this desert part, for me it was totally fascinating. I was not expecting it. I was expecting there to be lots and lots of low quality assets, bad textures, and like nothing original at all, a lot of generic stuff, because Sabo wouldn't have the photos, I was assuming, of the desert. But it was amazing. It was one of the most fascinating parts of the world that I have visited during my world tours, and also not only because of what you could see in the sim, but also because of the whole background history, the whole mysticism of the desert. I was also like reading and googling a lot about like the tribes and the historical caravan hubs and the whole culture of those caravans crossing the desert. Let me just see which one. Okay, so we can proceed here. Yeah, and like the sandstorms that we often had in the morning that were totally unexpected and like something new in the meter that I haven't seen before. Yeah, and the plane also performed great, although it was almost too easy. So when I was doing my world tour in the Cessna 310, it was very dangerous to fly high into the mountains. It was very prone to overheating, especially if those were like not Arctic mountains, but one in warmer climates. But in this one, I just pointed the plane pretty much at the mountains, set like a climb speed of 2000, whatever. So vertical speed, obviously, and it was just doing it without even having a big influence on the temperatures here. So it's a totally different kind of plane that I'm used to, because it's just so strong and there's just so much of a power reserve in it. As you could see, I did a technical check before crossing the Sahara. And this is something where I was a little bit disappointed. So at this moment, the plane was flying for like 20, 30 hours. But there was nowhere on the engine at all. I mean, obviously, I'm a perfect pilot, right? But still, we have crossed like the super cold north and then went to the super hot south. We have like landed in all of possible circumstances. Sometimes I was pushing the engines, and still there was like 100% of the engine status, which was like, it didn't feel like ownership features, I guess, like I'm used from other planes where I was doing it. That saying, what you will see in the next part, there has actually something happened, that I wasn't expecting, and you will see it in a minute. Let me just start the plane then. So we are starting in the direction of Lake Victoria. Let me just see if we have everything here. So strobe is on, this is on. We have the pumps, this is all in. Let's maybe open those. It's not that hot today, only 20 degrees, probably because of the clouds, because it did, we had a lot of heat in the prior days here. So it's just the rain. So like 5-10 minutes ago, it was raining here. But from what I could see, the area above the lake should be clear of clouds, and also the area around Kilimanjaro, which is important for us because we will want to sightsee the mountain. Okay? And with this, let's just stop talking and let's start flying. Nice and gentle. Let me look at all of the instruments, if everything seems to be fine. Okay, so let's reduce the climb power. Okay, tap the brakes, gear up. Okay, we can take a look outside. This nice brown earth that we know from Africa. Okay. And let me just turn here. And in a minute I will just continue with showing you the highlights from the other part. I hope you do enjoy this form of like reporting, of providing a report from my world tour. I know many people like to provide like the whole length of all of the flights, but when I'm watching it, I'm not a big fan. I mean, I think it's fascinating, and sometimes I'm like clicking on some of those videos for creators that I really like. But in the end, I'm not watching the full videos, right? It's fascinating for the person that is flying it, but not so fascinating to watch every single minute of it. So I hope you do enjoy this shorter and more concise form, which I think also gives an impression of what has happened. So I'm working on, it's so dark, just a second. Look, okay, maybe a little bit better, but not much. Okay. And we are at 6,000 feet already. So I guess we can just stabilize the plane here. Okay, and let's just go heading home. Okay, more or less here. So the weather isn't that bad. I think we can just turn off all of the stuff here, which is no longer needed. And let me just reduce the propellers, because they are pretty loud. Okay, prop sync on. Okay. And we are now above the biggest lake in Africa and the second biggest freshwater lake in the world. Right? So, not something that you see every day. Once again, here. Okay. One thing that I'm considering about those highlight videos is that maybe those like single parts, single views are a little bit too short, especially if there is like more text there. So if you think they are too short, or if you're okay with the length, please let me know. As I said, it's pretty much like an experimental format. I haven't really seen other people doing it like in exactly the same way. So let me know if you enjoy it. I can see it's pretty loud on the recording software, so let me just get this one. I hope you were able to hear me. And let's do some outside views. Yeah, nice. And we are leaving the area with the clouds. So this change from the very dry climate to this very wet climate was also pretty violent here in Africa, which is also fascinating. And it's also partially visible in the second highlight video that I will run in some minutes, right? Or in a moment. So one thing that I didn't fully like about the plane is that the long time wear, because it's now above like 40 hours, I think, of flying it non-stop. It feels a little bit digital. So, for example, every time that I was doing the magneto check, it was doing exactly the same drop on every one of on those engines. I know you can foul it and then it will drop, right? But there seems to be like a limit that it's like perfectly fine, and then probably it will drop if I mishandle it. So this is fine, and it's nice that we have it. But in all of the other wear and tear, maintenance, ownership, feeling planes, whatever, there was always like a slight difference, and here it's not. The one difference that we have, and it's pretty cool, it's that the fuel flow is different when you prime the engine, and it depends on lots and lots of different circumstances, and also like the behavior when you are firing up the engines is different. So sometimes it's very fast, and it also depends on the temperature and also in which direction the wind is, which is also pretty fine. That saying, for a time, pretty much for this first section, I was afraid the failures are not working at all for me, because I'm also flying the Starship a lot. And in the Starship, I already had like 10 failures or something. So I was really surprised that here there was nothing. Okay? But in the end, something happened. And now I will show it to you as part of the second part of the highlights of my flight. Enjoy it. Okay guys, and we are back. So I hope you do have enjoyed those highlights. So we are currently on the edge of the Victoria Lake on the other side. As you can see, pretty surprising. Let me just turn down the volume. The terrain here and the details are really good. Totally surprising for me, because when I was doing those world tours in 2020 and in 2020 times, a lot of those like exotic places had really, really bad textures and like not enough detail and very generic stuff. But here, I mean, this looks better than Poland almost. Okay, let's give it a second to load. This just looks absolutely awesome. Okay, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's me, but I just love it. And it looks like very, very specific for this side of the world, right? Wow. Okay, let's come back to what you have seen. So my question is, do you prefer music in those highlight, fragments or whatever, in those highlight clips? Or do you want it without music? You had the comparison here with the first part and the second part. So please let me know in the comments, because as I said, I'm still looking for the perfect format for what I'm doing here. Oh, this just looks amazing. Sorry. Totally unexpected, okay? So another thing that I wanted to show you is this whole Bushtalk radio that you have seen the example of the usage of in the first clip, right? So let me just show you how it works. Is it this one? No, sorry, many sites open. Here, okay? So in order for Bushtalk radio to work, you need to have both the site open, which is here, Bushtalk radio, you can just Google it. And you also need to have the application that you can download from FlightSimTO, and I will provide you the link in the description, like any other sources that I have shown you today. Okay, currently they are redesigning it, so the author is doing a whole new interface both on the web page and the application. So some of the functionality is currently not working that you have seen in the first part, but it should like start working any day. And I do recommend to join the Discord of the dev, because he is really basing on like user feedback. So if there's anything that you would like to work differently, then you can let him know. And I also did it like totally randomly because I was not sure how something works. So I kind of joined, said what my like situation over Africa is, what I need, and he pretty much changed it the other day. Wow. And Bushtalk radio is totally free. I even check if there is like no premium option to get it or something, but I didn't see anything. So, and it seems really, really professional. And as I said, the dev is just amazing. Okay. So let me just close this one. So one thing that you have probably noticed, let me just see if it's not too loud. No, it shouldn't be. Is that I can see the pilot. And this is because I have switched from chase plane to the normal camera options in MSFS. And I am missing chase plane. Okay, let us just get back in, maybe the other side. And we can see mountains starting here on the other side of the Victoria Lake. I really hope that Sim Update 5 will like fix all of the bugs, that you will be able to see the pilot and there will be maybe no conflicts with the Learjet that I had. Okay, and then I will be really, really happy to come back, because by now I'm really used to it, and when you are creating videos, it really helps a lot. Okay. One thing that I didn't mention, I have a list of topics that I wanted to discuss. So that, as you maybe know, if you have seen the prior parts or maybe have noticed, this is a radio navigation only around the world tour. So I'm only flying where VORs are. And actually, the VORs in Africa are amazing. So all of them work, which is like coming from Europe where every second one isn't working. This is amazing. The only problems that I had was that two of them, I think, didn't have like the DME reading, so the distance to the VOR, but still awesome. There were some parts over the Sahara where they were only in those caravan hubs that are far between. So this is where I was flying very high altitude to get the strongest signal possible. And I think I lied to you in the first video of this series, because I said that the best signal is starting from 13,000 feet, but it's actually from 18,000, okay? So I had to use the oxygen. So the oxygen system here. And actually, I've used it all up. And because I'm role-playing, okay, that you cannot get everything everywhere, so for a big part of the tour, I was not having oxygen on board. When I landed in Entebbe, so the big international airport, that's when I kind of refilled it. And also fixed the tank leak that you could see during the second highlight clip. And now it hopefully works. Actually, when I got this failure, I was really surprised, because this was the first failure, as I said, for 40 plus hours, and I was expecting something small, right? A burned out light or something, and not like a failure as the first one that can kill me, right? So I was lucky I did notice it in time. And what I was afraid of was that it's not only a tank leak, but also like a leak of the fuel system, so that if I would change the right engine to the other tank, it would just drain the other tank like faster, okay? Because it would like also drain the fuel through the leak that was like in the system and not in the tank. But luckily, this is only a tank failure. And as I said, I'm role-playing. So I didn't check what the failure is until I was at this big international airport, where I assumed that I would have the facilities and the mechanic and stuff, so it would be checked. So this was also pretty exciting and pretty surprising, as I said. Let's just hope that the next failures that will come will not be as serious as this one, because otherwise I might not be able to finish this world tour successfully, but we will see. As I said in the first video, I have it currently set to 5 times the speed of the failures, right? And it seems to be fine. We can see the first storms beginning. And also we will be climbing into this high plateau that also has our Kilimanjaro in it. So when it comes to the Kilimanjaro, which is the main destination for today, let me just show you some stuff. So in real world, it's beautiful, okay? You will see how it looks in the sim. It's actually 19,000 feet high. It's a dormant volcano, and besides being the highest mountain in Africa, it's also the highest freestanding mountain above the sea level in the world. So we had the second highest lake behind us, and now we will have the highest mountain, depending on the category, in the world or in Africa. So a lot of records today. And, this is typical for Africa. Everything is like gigantic here. So, okay, and with this, let me take a look at my list. I think I talk about everything that I wanted to talk. So we will just jump ahead until we are closer to the Kilimanjaro. Okay, so see you. Bye-bye. Guys, some of you have probably noticed already in the beginning, if you are like a geography nerd, okay. I have selected the wrong mountain, okay, because actually we were heading for Mount Kenya and we want the Kilimanjaro here, so sorry, my mistake. I have actually identified the mountain in the initial stages of planning the Africa tour, and I must have made a mistake, right? So obviously we will be flying here, and even the airport is called Kilimanjaro, okay? So it's a pretty easy mistake to avoid, but sadly not for me. The problem that we will face still is first that we have lots and lots of storms and icing, okay? Let me just turn on the defroster. Okay, we have the property ice. Let me see if we need it for the wing. No, so this is fine. But the second problem will be the weather. So let me just show you here. Yeah, so you will see there is like a pretty hefty storm about Nairobi. So we will try to avoid it, and then we will try to reach the Kilimanjaro, which is somewhere here. As it is pretty high, I hope we will be still able to see something. Yeah, a professional world tour pilot. Yeah, okay, so we will just jump ahead until we will be closer to the mountain. See you. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so the Kilimanjaro should be somewhere in those clouds, according to the map. Let's just hope that we will not fly into it. I will stay with the areas where we will have visibility. And I think this might be this one. So we will just take a good look. Okay? At the same time, here it seems we are kind of safe. Let me maybe deviate a little bit to the right. Because I also want to show you something that I maybe have not precisely described the last time. So I said that in order to use Bushtalk Radio, you need pretty much to have both the application, right, that is here, and the map, right, in your browser. But this is not fully true. You can also use it totally without the application in the sim, and just open up the map. And here you will still have all of those points of interest. Like you can see Kilimanjaro is here. You can read about it, and you can also play it and listen to the audio tour, right? So you don't need to pair it with your sim, although then it will also enable you this autoplay functionality, and we might actually be able to hear it if we will too close to the mountain. I'm not sure if this will be the case, but I can just play it. Can I? And maybe we're not close enough then for me to play it. Yep. Oh, now we can see it. Okay, so let me just turn around. And let's turn on oxygen. So we want to climb higher and higher. Oh, nice, we will actually see something. Let me make sure this is not red on the right side, so we don't fly into a storm, but it should be fine. Okay. Let me just control everything here. Okay, nice. Let me make sure we are not too slow, but this is fine. We have climb speed here, so this should be fine. So, ladies and gentlemen, the highest mountain in Africa. Let me just come a little bit closer. I think it's possible that this texture might get even better. So we are at 15,000 feet, I think. Yep. And this one is 19,000 feet high. So this should check out. Let's just take a view from the outside. Yep, nice. But I think like Mother Nature was on our side, because from every other direction it's covered in clouds. Okay, so a nice important milestone for our tour here, and starting from now we will move back up north. Okay, so let me just show you the plan. Hopefully I won't mess up anything else. Okay, so we are pretty much here at the Kilimanjaro. We will be landing at Kilimanjaro International, and then in my next parts of the tour I will come back here and fly along the Nile to Egypt and then to Asia. So let's hope that this will be a lot of fun. I was considering Tanganyika here, which is also pretty interesting, but this would be, I think, too long. So we will move back up, especially since I was so fascinated by those like Arabian atmosphere that I also want to check out how the Nile looks like. Okay, we can see some more definition, I think, here. Yeah, and this is definitely a difference to the Cessna 310 that I was using before, because the Cessna would probably overheat here or would have like no power left, right? So we would have to stay at the lower parts of it. Plus, it doesn't have or it didn't have oxygen, right? So we would be able to legally come up so high as we are now. Okay, so dormant volcano then. Makes sense. Okay, so learn something new. Also something about the map of Africa. Sorry once again for this, and sorry for people that were hoping to see Nairobi International. I might do like a short flight with a different plane, maybe, just to show you the airport. But we will be landing in Kilimanjaro International, sadly. Also, there was like a very red storm over Nairobi, so no thank you. Okay, and now let's just skip ahead to the landing at Kilimanjaro International, which I will be proceeding with now. Okay, bye. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's losing the localizer or if it's just the wind, so I will just take over my plane. We have some sun, which is nice. Okay, wobbly wobbly. Long landing. Okay, nice. Oops. Need a lot of input. Yeah, fine. Let's get rid of the flaps. And let's check if there will be a way to leave this one. No. So this was the last one. So let us just turn around then. Yeah, nice. And the Kilimanjaro is visible from here, so there was no need to fly there. Pretty convenient for the tourists. Okay, just this one down, and we can get rid of this. But we can also disable the radar, put this to standby, and let's just taxi back. Pretty nice. It's pulling us in the direction of the wind. It was pretty much supposed to be direct crosswind from here. Still, it's not a storm above the runway that I was afraid of, so still fine. Okay, how warm is it? Around 20 degrees. I can just open this one up. Okay, and let's get rid of stuff here. So landing light is not needed, strobe light is not needed, and with the rest I think we can proceed. Nice, we can also see this mountain here. some palm trees. Oh, this actually looks nice. Yeah, so this is something that I will need to get used to, all of those storms, right? As soon as it's like noon or afternoon, the storms start everywhere. It was the same when I was flying like in Brazil and many other of those like tropical regions. And this seems nice. It's a nice picture, so let's just hold somewhere here. And we don't need the taxi light. Oh, with a view of the Kilimanjaro. Okay. Okay, so let me make sure we have everything here. So panel light is not needed, navigation lights are not needed, avionics master is not needed. Okay, this seems to be fine. Let me see. Everything is in. Okay. The only thing is that we might open this one to get some ventilation. No, we can turn them off. Okay. Plop, plop, plop. Okay guys, and this was the second part of our world tour. I hope it was enjoyable, even if I have like selected the wrong mountain for today, but we have this one here, and I see you in future parts. See you. Bye bye.